Servant Season 3, Episode 4 was titled Ring. Leanne continues to be upset by other people. Bad luck strikes the Turner brownstone. Hey, what's going on to all my Servant fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again, breaking down the latest episode of Apple TV Plus Servant Season 3, Episode 4, titled Ring. Whew, an episode that just had me on the edge of my seat, and I have so many theories that I want to share with you all here in this spoiler review. But before we break it all down, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, we are knocking on the door to 20,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of this awesome community, make sure you're subscribed and you're hitting that notification bell. As you all can see on the screen now, if you enjoyed this spoiler review, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and also share this review to all the Servant fans you know out there. But more importantly, once you've seen the episode, let's talk about it in the comments. Your pros, your cons, your thoughts on Leanne playing a mother to Dorothy, your thoughts on Leanne comparing Sylvia, the way she's talking to Toby, to maybe the way her mom talked to her. Let's talk about that ring scene. And what are your thoughts about the homeless people looking up to Leanne? Is she somehow their resurrected mother in the Lesser Saints cult? Let's talk about it all. Your pros, your cons, your thoughts, your theories for the weeks ahead in the comment section. So just giving you all my initial thoughts. This was a fantastic episode. This was a slow burn, but the reveals, the acting, the moments of, again, paralleling how Leanne is seeking this type of bond with Dorothy, but Dorothy doesn't really want to go that far with Leanne, and being like a motherly figure to her and caring more about her job than Jericho and her family was very interesting. The stuff that we got going on with the tension that was built in this episode was fantastic. And again, we're going to talk about the squatters, the homeless people, and what are they up to? Why are they looking up to Leanne? Why do they want to talk to her so bad? We're going to break it all down in this review, but I really enjoyed this episode. This might be my second favorite episode so far in the season. This was just fantastic to me. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's get into this breakdown. Again, full spoilers ahead as we open the episode with Leanne in the attic, which to me was very kind of full circle, because last time we remember her in the attic, she was getting 2 a.m. wake-up calls, very violent wake-up calls from Dorothy. You know, she hooked up with Julian. She had the incident with Josephina. So this attic has had a lot of big moments of the show. So it's very interesting to see her coming back to the attic. And we learned that there's this new room that we never seen. But again, I speak of full circle because, again, speaking of those 2 a.m. wake-up calls, Dorothy and Leanne are now bonding in the attic, right? Which is so different from last season as we see them working out together. And even before they even start their workout routine, we see that those squatters, those homeless people are looking up at her, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I love this moment here with Leanne and Dorothy as Leanne is continuing to let Dorothy in on her past and her relationship with her mother, which we learned a little bit about last season, and how her mom would just kind of abuse her and making her do this dance routine. And if she didn't get it right, she wouldn't be able to sleep, she wouldn't be able to eat. And it's so unfortunate because, again, we see Leanne is just seeking this type of approval from Dorothy, and as she's telling her this very tragic, sad story, Dorothy leaves her. She abandons her in this moment. Again, she wants to bond with Dorothy. We know from season 1, she's always looked up to her. It's her hero. It's who she probably wanted her mother to be in real life. And her wannabe mother isn't there from her, just like her real mother was. So I'm loving the mother type of connection that we get in this very episode. And I thought that this opening really kind of set the tone to what we can expect with this episode here. So going back into it, we see that, again, John and Dorothy just keep letting people in the house, but this guy doesn't seem to be a Lesser Saints member, the safety guy. He's just pretty much a creep, but he's going around the house, you know, nickel and diming the Turner family about securing the house for all the baby stuff going around the home. And again, it's very important to notice Leanne's like, you don't need anyone to protect you all. As long as I'm here, Jericho's going to be okay. And we know those words are to be true because when she's not there, Jericho isn't there. And when she is there, things seem to be going pretty well. So again, it's very important to note that Leanne is very serious about keeping this family safe at any means necessary. So going back to our Dorothy conversation, she continues to have her hatred towards her younger peer who's covering the spring at the mansion. And we see Leanne, going back to the mother theme, she's being a bit of a mother to Dorothy as she's talking about, you need to be here more often, you need to feed Jericho, you need to drink more water. And we see Dorothy getting upset with Leanne as like, I'm an adult, I know how to mother my child, I know how much water I need. And we see the tension building because, again, Leanne, you need to remember that this is the same Dorothy that was banging her head against the floor, but at the same time, Dorothy needs to realize that Leanne ain't no one to play with. So I love just the back and forth between those characters, and who's really in control is really the thing that's keeping me invested in their relationship. But speaking of Leanne, we see the guy that Dorothy interviewed last week is approaching her and just wants to talk to her, but Leanne doesn't want to talk. She runs back in the house, and I'm thinking to myself, I wish Leanne would address one of these who she believes to be a Lesser Saints member. I wish she would just have the conversation like, okay, what is it that you want? What do you want with me? Because we know she has power. She has abilities. So if he really wanted to do something to her, she can probably have a bird bite his eyes out or have him trip and break his neck. So I'm very anxious to get the moment where she's going to just address someone that she believes a Lesser Saints member, because every time she thinks someone is a member, she always avoids them or runs away, or something happens where she doesn't get that one-on-one conversation. So I was hoping that they had that a bit of dialogue in that moment. But again, it's a slow burn, and we're going to inevitably get that moment when Leanne talks to one of these people that she believes is a Lesser Saint member, which I believe the homeless squatters are definitely involved some way, somehow. But we get the return of Toby in this episode. Not only Toby, but he introduced us to his new girlfriend by the name of Sylvia, who is interviewing to get a job with Sean. And I don't know if you all noticed this little moment, but Sylvia says, oh, is Jericho 18 months old? And Sean corrects her and says, no, he's only 9 months. He's just growing pretty fast. Is that an after effect of the bringing back Jericho by Leanne? Are we going to see him as the season goes on? Is baby Jericho going to get older and older, and it's going to make them kind of freak out? Like, what's actually going on? This isn't our child. I wonder if that's something they were kind of alluding to, because I know some of you all mentioned in the comments last week that there is like multiple babies playing Jericho, which I think isn't like purposeful thing in the show. I think they just have different babies on set for the day. But it'll be really interesting if we continue to see Jericho getting older much sooner than he should. Let me know if you all caught that little bit of dialogue there. But I also wonder here in regards to this moment where we see Toby bringing this random girl into the situation. Is it me, or they seem to not be boyfriend and girlfriend? I was, everyone's saying, Elliot, you think everyone's a Lesser Saints member, which, the show is doing a good job of making you wonder who is and who isn't. But I found it very odd how when they were talking, Toby was like trying to put his hand on her shoulder, and she like wiped his hand away and was very like forceful and like, give me this job, Sean. I would really love to work with you. I was just like, has Toby been compromised? Is he some way, somehow tied into the Lesser Saints like Roscoe last week? Again, not everyone's a Lesser Saints member. That's the beauty of this show. It's kind of like, are they a member? Are they a member? It makes you wonder. But I was just very curious because she was like very forceful and like making sure that she can work for Sean, which The Ring, we'll talk about that here in a moment, but let me know your thoughts on all that there. But going back into the breakdown here, we get something I've been kind of waiting to see for this season, which we haven't really gotten, which is that tension that Sean and Dorothy had from the previous 2 seasons. And we kind of get that moment here as Dorothy wants to go back. She has this opportunity to do this gig at work, which we'll talk about that. And at the same time, Sean wants to do this catering thing, so we all know who's going to win that battle, which was Dorothy. But again, I have been missing these moments when so far this season, Sean and Dorothy have seemed to be very on the same page and really kind of trying to make their relationship work out as much as possible, at least from the outside looking in, right? But we know that there is animosity between the two, especially with Sean knowing what happened to Jericho, right? And the other way around, Dorothy thinking that, Sean left the family to be a superstar or a TV star. So I always love when they I don't, obviously condone, husbands and wives fighting, but I always like when they address the real stuff that's going on and not hiding the stuff. So again, it was a little bit of a moment, but I hope that we get more of that and them speaking their truths to one another. But we see Dorothy can't make it to the Leanne dance session as she promised her, and you all notice Leanne was pretty upset when she grabbed her by her shirt and was like, oh, just let me get all the buttons. Again, it's very important to note. And even in this moment, Dorothy says, I'm not like your mom. I'm a working woman. And I thought in my head, I bet you Leanne is thinking to herself, oh, Dorothy, you seem very ungrateful for your child. You seem to be more concerned with your job than your family. You seem more concerned about you being on TV than protecting your family. I think Leanne has that ball rolling. Maybe it's time to take Jericho away to really give her a wake-up call. That's what I was kind of thinking in that moment. Let me know what you all thought. Now we see that, again, since Dorothy is going to be going to work, Leanne won't be helping out Sean like he wanted her to, but instead we're going to have Toby's girlfriend who now has the gig, and we notice how rude she is to Toby, and I immediately thought, Leanne's not going to like that because number one, she's already on pins and needles. But number two, the way that she was talking to Toby in this episode, I believe that Leanne had some PTSD to how her mom used to talk to her, and she felt bad for Toby. And we get that moment here in a little bit when they're talking to each other about the treatment that Sylvie is giving to Toby. But going back to creepy characters, safety guy might not be a Lesser Saints member, but he's definitely a creepo as he's questioning Leanne about her age, taking her to a club, and I don't know, let me know in the comments, who's more creepier, Mr. Smiley or this safety guy? Let me know your thoughts on that. And I'm like, oh, you better watch it because Leanne might have you, choking on something, or you go into the club and you might die because you need to watch it with her, Mr. Safety Guy. But going back to Leanne here, she has a moment where she's upset about what just happened with the guy, and she bangs on the wall and being like, oh, is this what you want? I'm dressed like a whore. Again, this just goes back to the PTSD that she's experienced, not only with the Lesser Saints, but also how she was raised by her mom. So again, this is just one of many examples of how the show is continuing to build the Leanne character, give us some of the insight of how she was raised and how her mind works. I really love those moments in this episode. It was highlighted beautiful in my opinion. But it's also important to remember what Leanne was wearing and how she kind of perceived that interaction that she had with the safety guy. It was Dorothy that told her to wear those workout clothes, and now she might again start to build that resentment toward Dorothy. Oh, my mother wouldn't have told me to wear this. She wants me to get, all these eyes from these other guys and not worried about our family. Again, building that animosity, building that tension between those two characters. But going back to Toby, who is at this point getting chewed up by Sean, by his girlfriend, it's the tension in this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes of the show. The tension was incredible as we see Leanne taking Toby outside and saying, why are you dealing with her crap? Why are you allowing her to talk to you like this? And again, that's Leanne, projecting her own feelings of how she used to probably feel about how her mom treat her, and probably more or less how Dorothy sometimes treats Sean, or sometimes treats, Leanne herself. So she's projecting that energy out to Toby, who's just like, hey, it's just part of being a chef. People yell at each other, but not around Leanne. And you talk about chaos here, from Sean having to sign the document with the safety guy, the food people are here. I just was like, this is like watching Top Chef, but like the servant M. Night Shyamalan version of Top Chef. I was just loving all the tension that was built in this scene. And again, this was my favorite scene of the episode, as Leanne is having, without a doubt, a panic attack. Again, we see Toby's girlfriend is yelling at her, and it's just so much greatness going on. And this is the moment here as we see, and this was just incredibly well done. Sylvie slips on the sauce, her finger gets caught in the hook, and her finger gets yanked off. We see Sean, who's yelling at Toby at this point. He was getting yelled at the entire episode. Where's the finger? Where's the finger? Toby hits the garbage disposal. No more finger. Finger is gone, but the ring was still intact. What an incredible scene. I love that moment, but the question at hand is, was all that Leanne's doing with the finger being gone and all this stuff going on? She was like in a panic mode, and everything around her was in a panic mode, and we see what happened to Toby's girlfriend, that finger going missing. I think that was Leanne, especially when we get to this next part here. As we move on, we catch up with Dorothy, who's interviewing someone, and she seems to be very distracted, and we notice that she's kind of zoning out, and unfortunately on camera, live on camera, her breasts start to leak. She's no longer, I think it's safe to say that her days, at least on camera, are no longer going to be happening, which obviously is not a good thing for Dorothy. But again, may I mind you, was that Leanne that did that to Dorothy? Was it Leanne that distracted her? Was it Leanne that made her breast start to leak on camera? Was it Leanne that had the finger go bye-bye? Whenever Leanne feels like she's pressed against the wall, we see what has happened so far this season. We saw episode, with the bees. We obviously saw what happened in this episode, as well as we know what happened with Julian and the seagulls. This is all Leanne's doing. Again, when she feels like her back against the wall, when she feels like you're not listening to her, bad things happen to you. And Dorothy and Sean, you guys want to run around and do your thing and not worry about Jericho and the family? Oh, I'm going to get your back with the family by any means necessary. What a great moment there. As we wrap up the episode, we see Dorothy talking to Sean about the universe, telling her that she is, she's hurt. And this goes back to episode 1 when she says that she feels like she's cursed, which made me think about my question last week about what happened to Dorothy and Julian's mom. Can she be that Lesser Saints member? And could she have put a curse on her daughter for whatever reason? I can't wait to learn more about their backstory and when they were kids. But remember, Jericho died before Leanne was in the picture. Was that because Dorothy's mom put a curse on her? I don't know. Maybe I'm stretching there, but I thought it was very interesting that she mentioned that, and that ties back to, episode 1. But we wrap up the episode with Leanne, who is listening to music. She's happy right now. She has that ring. She puts it on. She's doing this very interesting dance routine, which I don't know if that's the dance routine that her mother taught her as a kid, but she's dancing, and look outside. We see that the homeless people are looking up at her, which makes me think, is she somehow like resurrected as this new version Leanne, and she used to be like the leader of the Lesser Saints, and she died and she came back in this form of Leanne, and they transferred her soul to Leanne's body? Maybe a little bit to think about there, but it just makes me wonder. Think of how every episode started off in the season. I'm talking about the intro, and we see the door open, and it's Leanne, and behind her are a bunch of people. Are they setting up that Leanne's going to be the next leader of the Lesser Saints? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But what a great job by the director here, Dylan Holmes Williams. Great tension, great reveals with Leanne, the parallels between Leanne being a mother to Dorothy and how she saw, Toby's girlfriend talking to her, reminded her of how her mom talked to her. I'm loving what we got in this episode, and I hope this is just a building block of more answers, more of our questions being answered, more great reveals, more character moments, more of the tension between Dorothy and Sean. I thought this was a great episode, but that's just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments, pros, cons, thoughts, theories, Easter eggs that you all caught in this episode and what you all hope to see in the weeks ahead. Let's talk about it in the comments. If you stuck around to the point in the video, I appreciate every single one of you all. Before you leave, make sure, if you haven't already, to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, we're almost at 20,000 subscribers, so come and join this awesome community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you all are staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to my channel, check out my other content, and we'll catch you all on the next video.